Hi, this is Kathy Quinn with Floriani. Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing, and I want to welcome you to this month's Project of the Month, project number 31, which is a visor cover for your car. Now, this is a great project for the man in your life as well. Let's double left mouse click on the Floriani Total Control Professional icon. Now, when our software opens up, the first page that comes up is always My Floriani Today. Now you'll notice we have a heading here that says What's New in Floriani Total Control. We had a free update about 10 days ago, and there's lots of new fun features. So if you want to know how to use those features, all you do is you click on the What's New in Floriani Total Control, and it brings up the page that has all the updates explained on it, step-by-step instructions on how to use all the new features that we've added in, as well as videos. If you just click on our video right here, you can preview the videos that will show you also how to use our new features. We also have here on our My Floriani Today screen our 5 new monthly designs that we give to you every single month as our thank you for being a Floriani software owner. Now today we're going to come down to the bottom left-hand corner and we are going to create a new design. That brings up our new design page. Now this is our workspace, and this is where we're going to do everything we want to do in Floriani. We're always going to do it on our workspace. Now we're going to set up this so it'll work perfect for us. Now sometimes you want to work in metrics, sometimes in inches. So we have a ruler bar that goes across the top and down the left-hand side. If you want to set it for inches or metric, all you have to do is put your cursor anywhere along the ruler bar and right mouse click for your hidden treasure. We can go between metric, right mouse click for hidden treasure, left mouse click on inches. So now we have changed to inches. Now we're going to set up our grid system because we're going to use it a lot today. We're going to right mouse click for hidden treasure, come down to the words grid settings and left mouse click. Now this will bring up our options box. The first thing I want you to make sure of is that your maintain aspect ratio has a little check mark in it. If it's blank, just simply left mouse click on the box and the check mark will appear. This will help us maintain, or it will make it maintain, the aspect ratio. Now today's project, we're going to work at 0.25, a quarter of an inch grid system. We're going to say OK, and now we have each one of these squares is quarter of an inch. Now we're going to do a completely in the hoop project, and those are some of my favorites. I love it when I can push the button and get most everything done in the hoop. Well, today is everything. Now we're going to, our first limitation that we need to talk about is you are always limited to your hoop size. So always keep that in mind when you're creating an in the hoop project, that you have to size it so your hoop will accommodate it. Now this visor cover that we're going to do today is going to Velcro on the visor in your car, and it's going to allow you to put lots of your little pin up there, your cell phone. It's going to have places so you can put your goodies in the visor. To do this, the first thing you need to do is measure the visor on your car. Now, every visor is different. I drive a kind of a jeepy car, so I have a large visor. Now, the area I'm going to put my visor cover on will be 12 inches long and 6.5 inches tall. That's my width and my height. Now, most visors are not that wide, so make sure to measure yours before creating your project. Now, I'm going to come up to my very favorite tool that Floriani has, and that would be my artwork tool. I'm going to left mouse click on the down arrow, and I'm going to select my rectangle. Now the moment I selected that, I want you to notice my properties box is always in front of me. And it tells me, Kathy, you are working with artwork. Now artwork is not stitches, it's just like I drew on the screen. Also, you'll notice I have my artwork icon. It matches the icon on my toolbar. Now you may have words. Yours may say artwork, commands, where mine has icons. That is a choice because this is commercial software. We give you lots of choices. So if you want to change to either words or icons, come up to your tools on your menu bar. I want you to left mouse click on it and go down to the words General Options. Now with our new update, our options box, our general options, has an all new look. We are going to go into our view portion. I'm going to left mouse click on the eyeball, and the first thing I want you to notice is the highlight selection. Now it defaults in Floriani to a blue. I came in here and selected this garish pink because I can see an item is selected very clearly if it's this bright pink color. But you pick what is comfortable for you. Now notice the first option I have under my highlight selection is Show Property Tabs as Icons. If I deselect that and say OK, I now have words, artwork, and commands. The reason we have given you an icon option is under some of the properties you'll have several words across and they may not all fit, so you would scroll to see the other options. With our icons, because icons take up a lot less space, we now can fit them all on one screen. This is all personal preference. But no, anytime there's an icon, you can hover and it will tell you what it is. So now I've selected my rectangle artwork tool. You'll notice it's stuck to my cursor. I'm going to hold down my left mouse key and drag. I'm holding down my key. Now I will let go. And I have created an artwork rectangle. Now if you notice in my sequence view, which is right below my properties box, you can see I have now created something in here. If I click the plus, it'll tell me you have artwork. Now I'm going to select this artwork by going up and selecting it with my select tool. Now I also could have selected it here in my sequence view by just clicking on the artwork and it would have selected it as well. Now notice it's that bright pink. It's easy for me to tell it's selected. Now that I've selected it, notice in my properties box I have a new icon, and that is transform. That is a resize. So now the width of my visor will be 12 inches. And notice I've got this maintain aspect ratio still selected. I'm going to deselect that by clicking on it with a left mouse click because I wanted to find the height and the width myself, and so I'm going to now type in 6.5 height, 12 width, and I'm going to move my sequence view down just a little bit so I can see my apply button, and I'm going to left mouse click on apply. Now the moment I apply this, it's larger than my screen, so I'm going to come up here to the center of my top toolbar where it says 200%. This is my zoom box. I'm going to click on the down arrow and tell it to fit into the screen. So now I can see all of it. Now I am going to kind of nudge this because I want it to be on the lines. You notice we've got these 1/4 of an inch grid lines, and I'm going to do a lot of placing using these lines, so I want to make sure that this is lined up on a line. Now how I can nudge this into place is you can hold down your control key and you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move this in very small increments if you need to. So it makes it very easy to put this onto those lines. Now that I've done this, this is selected. I am going to use this as my placement line. We're going to create fabric and stitch in shape, and we're going to stick them down to a wet and gone tacky stabilizer in our hoop, but this will show me where I want to place it. Now it's just artwork, so I need to turn it into stitches. So I am now going to right mouse click on it, and I'm going to convert this to a run stitch. Now notice the minute I change it to a run, let's look at our properties box. It tells me, Kathy, you're working with a run. Of course, I have my run icon, which is the same as the icon on my toolbar. So notice the run icon on my top toolbar matches the icon in my properties box. Now the option I have right here that I want to deal with is it says stitch length. This is just a placement line. I'm going to change this to a 4.0 stitch length. Oops, excuse me. I'm going to change it to a 4.0, and I'm going to apply. Now that's just made this stitch length a little longer, so it takes a little less time to stitch out, but it also uses less thread. Now with this still selected, I'm going to place this piece of fabric and stitch in shape in my hoop, but now the next thing I need to do is I want to tack it down. So I'm simply going to right mouse click and copy this, and now I will right mouse click and paste. So I have copy and pasted my rectangle. Now we do have copy and paste icons right on our toolbar, which is less steps than right mouse clicking. So we'll be using these today and start trying to get familiar with a few more icons on our toolbar. Now notice my sequence view. I have got 2 run stitches. This is our placement line. Then we copy and paste it, and now we have a second right on top of the first. Now the first thing I want to do is change the color, because we want our machines to stop after the placement line. The easiest way to do that, of course, is to change the color. So we are going to come down to the left hand corner, and you will see I have a row of colors up here, and I'm going to put my cursor on color number 2 and right mouse click. Now what that's going to do is it's going to change the color of my second run stitch. Now it is red. My first one's blue, my second one's red. Now with this selected, I'm going to transform. So we're coming back to our properties box, and we're going to transform this. Now I'm going to make this 11.95 inches. Not quite, between an 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch smaller, and 6.45. I want it to be just a hair smaller because I want to place that down, and when I create the tack down with this one, I want to make sure it catches all the way around very nicely, because we are going to change this run stitch into a tackle twill stitch. Now again, I'm going to right mouse click with it selected. I'm going to convert this to a tackle twill. Now what a tackle twill is it is a lot like an applique. This has a placement line, a tack down line, and then it has this kind of wide zigzag. This, if you ever look at professional jerseys where they have the large numbers and stuff, you'll notice that they are put on with a strange kind of zigzag, because if you put a heavy satin stitch like an applique around those, it would be heavy and drag. So they use a tackle twill stitch. Now that we have changed it to a tackle twill, we're going to work in our properties box a little bit. We're going to change the properties of this tackle twill, the default. Now I'm going to leave the width of the tackle twill at the 2 millimeters. I'm going to come to the inset, and it is at 85%. We're going to change that number to 75%. Now we're going to, and that's how much it's inset inside my 11.95 6.45 inch rectangle. Now the density is how close the little zigzags are together. So we're going to change this because all we're doing is tacking down to a 3.5 density. Now the next thing I want to look at is I don't need a placement line and I don't need a tack down line. I'm using the tackle twill zigzag to tack it down, and I created the placement line first. I could have used a tackle twill and just done everything, except I wanted this to be a little bit smaller. So that is why I went ahead and copy and paste it. Now that we've made these changes in the boxes, the only way I can make it happen is to left mouse click on the word apply. So now notice I have this funny little zigzag just inside, 75% inside this square that I already had up here. So now that I've got that done, we are now going to create some placement lines for our Velcro. We're going to use the Velcro, the type you put kind of around cords and stuff, where one side is the loop and the other side is the hook. And that's the strips we're going to use for this project. So we are going to create placement lines for them. Again, I'm going to come up to my artwork tool and select my select my rectangle. And I'm just going to draw a little rectangle on screen. Doesn't have to be very big. And I'm going to select it. Now we're going to come to our properties and let's transform it. Now the width of this needs to be 0.75 because it's 3/4 inch Velcro. And the height is 6.45. Again, I don't want this to go outside my placement line. So I will now apply, and I'm going to put this into place. Now where I'm going to put it is, that's why I love these little grid lines. I'm going to come in quarter, half, 3/4. I'm going to come in 1 inch from the edge and place this. Now remember, it's artwork, so we need to turn this into stitches so it will stitch out so we can place this. Now if you need to adjust just a little, remember, hold down your control key and use the arrows on your keyboard to nudge this into place so you've got it just right. Now since it's artwork, again, we're going to right mouse click on it, and we are going to convert this to a run stitch by left mouse clicking on the run. Now I've created that. Now let's come up here to our top toolbar, and we're going to use our copy and paste icons. So let's copy this and let's paste it. Now I've got a second run stitch. You can see that in my sequence view. Always remember the sequence view. Whoops, lost my selection. Whoops, and I've got it crazy. Tell you, it's all right, good. Now I've selected it. Now we're going to take this and I'm going to just hold down my left mouse key and drag it over. Again, I'm going to come in 1 inch, 4 grid lines in from the edge. So now these are going to be my Velcro placement lines. These will stitch out. My Velcro will stick right down on, using these as placements. And now we're going to stitch that down. Now the elastic we're going to use on this project is 1 inch wide, so it will cover the Velcro and the placement lines so it won't be seen. Now to create the placement line, we're going to come up to the top toolbar and we are going to select our steel stitch. That's our little blue backwards S. Now I'm going to left mouse click on it, and what I'm going to do is right here in the center, I'm going to left mouse click to put my first point. I'm dragging that down, and when I get to the bottom, I'm going to left mouse click to create a second point. Now I have 2 points, and you can see there's a blue box at the top and at the bottom. And now that I have that there, I'm going to turn this into stitches by right mouse clicking. So you have now digitized a steel stitch. Now all a steel is a balanced satin. Now I'm going to select this because once we've created this, and I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to grab my steel stitch right in my sequence view by left mouse clicking on it. Now I am going to change the color because we want it to stop after the placement line so we can place our Velcro down, and then once it's placed we can stitch the steel stitch. So we're going to change by right mouse clicking on color number 2. Now we're going to work with the properties of a steel. Now the width is 3 millimeters, which is going to work fine for us. The inset is 50%. The only time that inset matters is when it's on an edge, whether you want it to inset half in and half out, or 100% in or 100% out. That's what this inset is for. Now the steel density is 0.5. We do not need it to be such a drastic density here, because what we're going to do is we want to make it strong enough to hold the Velcro down, but we don't need a heavy satin stitch there. So we're going to change this to 3.5, just like we did with our tackle twill. Now I'm going to apply this, and I want you to notice it's a nice, it's a straight zigzag going down, then it comes up with an angle zigzag coming back up. So that is a steel, and it will hold just perfect. Now again, we need to come up to our copy icon. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to paste this by left mouse clicking on those icons. Now I'm going to move this over, but I want you to notice my cursor. I want to make sure that it turns into a hand. Then I know it's saying I'll move this for you. So once I've got a hand, I'm going to hold down my left mouse key, and I'm going to drag my pasted one over, and I'm going to place it in the center. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but try and get kind of close in between your placement lines. So now I have my tack down for my Velcro. Now you notice this long stitch here. This is actually going to be a trim. It's a jump. But if I wanted this to be efficient, I would move my start and stop points. If it stopped here, I would want it to start here. That would be the best path. So I can change that very easily by coming to my third icon down on my left-hand toolbar. That is my shape tool. I'm going to left mouse click, and you notice green is for start, red is for stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down a little bit. I'm going to stop up here, and I'm going to start down here. Now I've moved those, but nothing's real unless I hit return on my keyboard. So now notice that went away because now it's going to be efficient. Now your machine would have trimmed it anyway, but it keeps your hoop moving in a logical progression, which makes the design stitch out faster if it is pathed or in the correct sequence. So now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and hit my select key again and get rid of my control icons that I had there. The next thing we're going to do in here is we're going to put a design in. Now actually, I really would have liked to have put the design on before I did the stitching down for the Velcro. So I have the design, I'm putting it in out of order. But that's okay because we're going to learn how to work in our sequence view. Now the design I've chosen today is out of our text tools. Now we have a lot of fun little designs in here that are made to embellish text. You can put any design you want. Now I picked a small design. I will resize it. But because I'm going to have elastic strips going around this visor cover, I didn't want to go put in a large design and you not be able to see it. So we're going to left mouse click on our text designs. Now notice when I open mine, there's an angel alphabet is the first thing I see. If you do not see an angel alphabet first, you did not install your support files off your original program CD. So put it back in your computer and install your support files, because you would still have designs in here, you just have a lot more with the support files. So I am going to scroll down. Now the thing I love about these text designs is there is lots of designs in here that are masculine. There's whimsical, there's fun, there's different alphabets, there's monogramming, but I like the fact that I can come in here and find some masculine looking designs. Now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. You can kind of see some of the fun stuff that's in here. But I'm going to come down because we have a section here that I really like that's really pretty much all masculine stuff here. So you've got all kinds of goodies to pick from. What I chose was this fishing fly. I'm going to say OK, and it has come in. Now the first thing I'm going to do is transform this. I want to resize it. Now I can come to my transform icon. Now if you have words, transform, you'd have to scroll for it. Or you can right mouse click always for your hidden treasure, and you can get transformed that way as well. So now I want to transform this design. Now I want to maintain my aspect ratio because I don't want to size one part and the other skew. And what I'm going to do is I want to make this 1.5 inches tall. It's scaled the width proportionately. Now I will apply that, and now I have resized my design. Now I want to make sure this design is centered as well. So with the design is selected, I'm going to hold down my control key and I'm going to select one of my outer boxes. It really doesn't matter which one you get. I picked up the tackle twill, but again on our toolbar we've got an icon that is center. That means it will center both vertically and horizontally. So now we have centered our design. Now I told you it's in the wrong sequence. So I'm going to put my cursor along the top of my sequence view box. You notice it turns into two parallel lines and two arrows. I'm going to hold down my left mouse key and I'm going to drag this box up so I can see everything in it. Now you'll notice as we've been working with these, it's got these boxes open. Notice I have a minus. I can go ahead and turn it into a plus and close. Under each color, it will tell you exactly what you're doing. There's my run stitch, there's my tackle twill, and so forth. You can see it shows us everything. Now if you wanted to close them all at once, you would right mouse click for your hidden treasure and say collapse. So everything collapsed. Now this little fly here is grouped. So when I click on it, it selects the whole thing. Same thing if I clicked on one here, it would select it all. Now where I want this is above the placement lines for my Velcro. So I'm going to hold down my left mouse key and I'm going to drag it right there. Notice I've now got my placement line. My design will stitch out. Oops, you know what? I didn't want it between these two. I wanted my tackle twill to stitch out before that, so I'm going to drag my tackle twill up. So you see how easy it is to drag and drop. You can move things around within your sequence view. Now here's something else. You notice this design was created in Madeira thread. Well, I don't stitch with Madeira, I stitch with Floriani. So the first thing I'm going to do is select this. I can't work with this individually because it is grouped. So I'm going to come up to my toolbar here at the top and I want to ungroup this. So now, I don't know why this is hanging in there. There we go. I've now ungrouped it. So now when I select these, notice I get the individual colors. Now if I wanted to change this 1153 Madeira rayon, notice it's color number 9. That corresponds down here to our color bar to color number 9. Now if I left mouse click on 9, see we've been right mouse clicking to change the color of something. But if I want to change the thread palette itself, I'm going to left mouse click. Now I could come up here where it says brand, drop down your box, and I can pick out any thread palette that I wish. We have lots of them. But I want Floriani. Now notice that is 461 chrome. Look at your sequence view. As soon as I say OK, that has now changed to a Floriani thread. Now I could change these one at a time. I can save this design and reopen it because I've selected Floriani as my default thread palette. It will change every one of these at once. But we're just for the sake of repetition, I'm now going to select color number 10, left mouse click. Let's get our Floriani palette. OK. Let's go to color number 11. Drop down our box, Floriani palette. OK. We're going to do color number 12. I'm just going down the row here by left mouse clicking, and we're changing it to the Floriani palette. You get the idea of how easy this is. Now if I didn't have Floriani in this specific color and I had some other brands in the drawer, I could pick Isacord, Hemingworth. I could pick something else because over here in my sequence view I can use as many different thread types as I want or need. So I'm not going to use Isacord. I am going to use Floriani. Now what else we have done is we have managed to get in here now all of our variegated. So if you want to see how something looks in the variegated thread, we never had that ability before. Now you have it because we have managed to get all of our variegateds in here with repeats, and this was quite a feat. And we've had lots of requests for it, and so now you have it. Remember, that's one of the great things about Floriani software is that you can put in your suggestions because we are always looking for more ways to improve and update our software. And remember, all your updates are free. So every time we listen or come up with your suggestions, we then return it to you as a free upgrade or update. Now we have changed our fly into all Floriani colors. We've got our placement line for our Velcro. We have our stitch down line for our Velcro. Now in the portion, in the construction portion, you're going to learn how we're going to put all of our elastic down before we stitch the last 2 stitches. I was going to put little placement holders in here, but I found out it was just a lot of work for nothing. So what we're going to do now is you will place all your elastic down in the hoop. You'll see how it's done on our video, on the PowerPoint video. And then what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to stitch that down. And at the same time, we're going to put the back on the back of the hoop. So we're going to come in here and I'm going to select my first run stitch, that very first one we did. Now I am going to copy it. I am going to paste it. Now look, right here at the top I have my 2, the one I had and the one I copied and pasted. Now I am going to bring this down. I want to take this run stitch and bring it to the bottom. Notice I just brought the stitch. I didn't have to bring the whole color. I just picked the one run I wanted to come to the end. Because what this is going to do is this is going to just stitch my back on and hold it on real nice so we can put a finish on this. Now again, I'm going to take this and go to transform. Now I'm going to need to move my sequence view back down. So again, put your cursor on the top. When it's two parallel lines and two arrows, you can now drag this back down. And we are going to change this. And remember what we've selected. Let's go back down and make sure we've only selected what we need. And that's that one little outside line. We're going to transform it. And again, I'm going to do 11.95 inches. Get rid of that maintain aspect ratio that we put on for our fly. 6.45 inches and apply. Now we have one last thing to do to finish our visor in the hoop. Is with this selected, with this little run stitch selected, I don't know what I'm doing here with my cursor, but it's acting crazy. Sorry. I'm going to select this, and with it selected, I am going to copy again, paste again, and now with this second one selected, I'm going to change the color again because we want it to stop. We want to be able to put our back on, stitch it down, and then we're going to do our finish line. And our finish line is going to be in whatever color that you want to accent. So I'm going to right mouse click on color number 14 for me. So I've changed this color, and I'm just having an issue here with, there we go. There we go. I apologize. I don't know why I'm having an issue with this sequence view. I'm telling you, my computer's been acting nuts all day. Okay, so now I have this run stitch here at the bottom. Now with this run selected, we are going to convert it. We're going to right mouse click on it, and we're going to convert to a steel stitch. So now we're going to put a nice ballot satin around this design. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to come in and play with our properties box again. Now the first thing is I want this to be 7 millimeters wide. Now remember, with a satin, you don't want to go wider than that. But even if I did in this case, what I'm doing is I'm finishing the edge of this, and since we're stitching on Wet and Gone Tacky, it's going to kind of pull in next to the edge. I'm going to want part of it on the visor and part of it out onto the stabilizer so I can kind of pull that in. And something else that we have that I'm going to show you that's been in one of our updates is if we come in here and we start looking at our settings in here, our general settings, and I'm going to find out where we've put it. There is our zigzag, let's see, square. This is if we want to do our blending. Here's our commands and our transform. Okay, this is our steel. We've changed this to 7 width. My steel density I'm going to leave, but my inset I'm going to change this to 30%. That means it's going to be 30% on the inside and the rest is going to be on the outside. Now the reason I want it to come in 30% is because I want to make sure it covers up that tackle twill zigzag. But I want it to be out here enough to cover the edges as well. Now we do have a property, and I guess it's not on the steel. Let me make sure. Here it is. I'm sorry I missed it. Right here under column, it's got a new look since we just did our update. I want you to notice it says deactivate splitting if length is less than 7 millimeters. Less than. if I went bigger than 7, it's going to automatically split that satin for us now. Because if you go wider than 7 on a satin stitch, it's going to cause you problems in your stitching. It's going to gape and pull on a garment. It's not going to look right. So we have put in a feature that it's not going to split if it's less than 7 millimeters. But if it's more than 7 millimeters, it's going to split this satin for us automatically. Now you can change that if you wish, or you can leave it. I'm comfortable with it there because I know if I go a little bit wider, it's going to split it for me and I'm not going to have a problem. So now in our general options, we change the steel density. We change the width and the inset. We are going to apply those settings. Now with that setting applied, the last thing we always want to do is we want to look at this stitch out. We want to make sure we haven't made any mistakes in our placement, in our sequence. So let's come to our slow redraw icon right here on our toolbar. And you will notice with the new update, some of our icons have changed their look. So I'm going to left mouse click on slow redraw. This is a wonderful feature. Now, on our slow redraw, we can go forward, backwards, we can pause, we can go one stitch at a time, or we can pick our speed. Right now, we're going to stay at moderate. What's going to happen is it's going to stitch our placement line down. Now, as soon as that finishes, it will stop. My machine will stop so I can change colors. Or if you're using a multi-needle, you'll build in a stop. Now I'm going to stick down my fabric. And we are going to go ahead and use our tackle twill to catch that and stitch it down nicely. So that's going to happen there. Now the next thing it's going to do is do our design. Now that we've got this tacked down and we know it's not going to shift or move, we're going to go ahead and stitch out our design. Now I'm going to move this so it'll go a little faster. We also could come in here and pull this to finish our design. So you also can do that. Now it's going to put in my placement lines for my Velcro. Now I'm going to change the color so of course I can stop. Now you don't have to ever change the color on your machine other than for your design because your machine doesn't know. Now on a multi-needle, of course, you're going to have to tell the machine what you want to do. But now that I've got my Velcro down, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch down the center of that Velcro. Notice it goes up and it comes back down to hold it into place. Now the machine's going to stop when we get through with this. Of course, we changed the color so that we can now stop. We're going to tape down all of our elastic. Floriani has a new embroidery perfection tape that you are going to love. We're going to put all of our elastic down. We will take the hoop off the machine, put our back on the underside of the hoop. We'll put the back on. Once we've done that, we are going to stitch that down, stitch the front to the back, and then we are going to finish with our satin stitch. And this is our satin stitch underlay. It's working on the underlay for our satin. And here comes in our satin stitch. And then we can just pull this because we don't need to wait long. And it is going to finish. You will now remove it from the hoop. So I hope you enjoyed working with today's visor project. We've worked in our properties box quite a bit. We've looked a little bit at some of the new icons and features, and I want to thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to you being with me on our construction portion of our project of the month.